In the past 2 years, it seems every brand have been capitalizing on the color green. With many working from home and craving nature, some collectors get the pleasure of imagination through the dial colors, which, in my opinion, is why Grand Seiko's USA Nature collection were some of the hottest watches of the past year. Now in 2021, Rolex announced new colors never seen in mainstream pieces since the 1970s and the early 1960s. Green dials, yellow dials, Tiffany blue, which is my absolute favorite. One thing you need to know is during the 1970s, Rolex was very adventurous. You got mosaic dials, brick dials, linen dials, some incredible watches with some crazy colors. But ever since then, Rolex became a little bit more serious, which is obviously not a problem. But with recent events and Rolex announcing new colors, they showed that they could still have some fun. And in my opinion, these Oyster Perpetuals couldn't have come in a more perfect time. Now before we get started, big thank you to David SW for allowing us to showcase this incredible piece to you. David SW is a trusted independent dealer based out of the heart of Orlando. If you're considering your next luxury purchase, check out David SW. They carried some incredible brands from the likes of Patek, Rolex, AP, Richard Mille, and many more. Especially in this case with the Oyster Perpetuals being very hard to get, it's pretty much impossible to find them at ADs. So if you actually want to see this watch in person, make sure you go visit David SW if you are in the Orlando area. So giving you my first impressions of this piece, I actually wasn't expecting to like it as much as I do. The 41mm case I thought would be too big, and the green dial I thought just wasn't for me. Well, after handling this piece, I actually like both of those now. The 41mm case, although the watch is super simple, it actually gives some nice presence on the wrist. The green dial, or what collectors call British green dial, is actually stunning, and I'm not really surprised. Rolex has always been really good at doing their golds and their greens. That's the Rolex color, so I'm not that surprised. Now besides the new dial colors, we need to discuss the differences between the new Oyster Perpetual and the previous generation. The first big change, now we have 31mm, 34mm, 36mm, and 41mm. Gone are the days of the 39mm. While I know that upset a lot of people, Rolex probably did their research, and I could only assume the 39 wasn't performing as well as we thought. That said, if you're considering a 39mm white dial, I highly recommend it for one big reason. It has one of the shortest production run with only 2 years under its belt. That's bound to be a future collectible. Another major difference or upgrade with the new Oyster Perpetuals is the new movement. The 3230 is a COSC certified caliber with an accuracy of plus or minus 2 seconds per day, which isn't different from the older model, but what is new is you get 70 hours of power reserve, which is more than enough for a daily piece in my opinion. The 3230 could also be found in sports watches like the Submariner, so you're not getting a downgrade with the Oyster Perpetuals. The technical specifications and details of the new Oyster Perpetual. For your reference, my wrist is 6.5 inches. This is a 41mm size with a lug-to-lug distance, which means top to bottom, which by the way is very important to see how it would fit your wrist. 47.35mm. As you can see, although the 41mm seems a little bit large, and due to the fact there's no complications, it's only dial, it does look a little bit bigger, but it fits very comfortably on my 6.5 inch wrist. As a daily watch, you can't go wrong with the green dial. Has a beautiful British matte green dial that almost turns black in darker settings. Adding to the everyday vibe, of course you get a sapphire crystal, 100 meters of water resistance, which is more than enough for a daily piece, and finally you get a very comfortable bracelet. I can also see this watch looking amazing on an alligator or an Everest rubber strap should you decide to have a little bit more fun with it. Overall, I am a big fan of the new 41mm, it won me over. I didn't get why they would go 41, but after handling it in person, I get it. It's super comfortable on the wrist. I do like the presence, especially when you have those beautiful colored dials, the yellow, the green, the Tiffany blue, which is my absolute favorite. Overall, I do highly recommend this to anyone who could sport the size, and it is a fantastic everyday watch. Now guys, thank you so much for joining me. Please add in the comment section below what you think about this watch. And now a quick word from our sponsor, David SW. When considering your next luxury timepiece, David SW provides one of the greatest watch buying experiences in all of Florida. Located in the heart of Orlando, make sure to head over there to purchase some rare timepieces from brands like Rolex, AP, Patek, Richard Mille, and many more. If you aren't able to visit, make sure you go online to speak with a watch specialist so they could assist you with any questions you may have. The expert team over at David SW will make sure you have a flawless buying experience.